as between a man and a woman. I am not among that group. I have fought to defend the laws as passed by the voters of Arizona. I believe that was my duty as Attorney General. Both the federal court and the Ninth Circuit Court of Appeals have ruled against us, and the United States Supreme Court has refused review to 3 circuits who came to the same conclusion under essentially the same circumstances. The decision that I make today is based on legal conclusions rather than policy considerations. I believe the first duty of the Attorney General is to be a good lawyer. Lawyers live under a rule called Rule 11, which provides that it is unethical for a lawyer to file a pleading for the purpose of delay rather than to achieve a result. The probability of the Ninth Circuit reversing today's district court decision is 0. The probability of the United States Supreme Court accepting review of the Ninth Circuit decision is also 0. Therefore, the only purpose that would be served by filing another appeal would be to waste the taxpayers' money. That is not a good conservative principle. I have decided not to appeal today's decision, which would be an exercise in futility and which would serve only the purpose of wasting taxpayers' money. I'm issuing a letter today to the 15 county clerks of court with the directive that based on today's decision by the federal district court, they can issue licenses for same-sex marriages immediately. I'm told that there are 10 couples already at the Maricopa County Clerk of Court's office waiting for their licenses, and I told the Clerk of Court that as soon as his press conference was over, he would get an email from me. He could proceed to issue those licenses, and Arizona has no waiting period, so those marriages can proceed today for those who wish it. I'm happy to take your questions.
Tom, does this mean that Arizona would recognize gay marriages as created in other states?
Yes.
What about all the other laws there are? There are various laws, for example, on adoption. You have issues where preferences are given to a married man and married woman. It's the way it reads, not a married couple. Does that mean that those laws either fall or are endangered based on the precedent set by the Ninth Circuit?
I think it's best to take things one at a time. If that question is presented to us, we'll research it and respond.
Tom, did you consult with the governor or any other lawmakers on this decision?
Yeah, we did consult with the governor. The governor is our client on one of the cases. The clerks of court are our client on another case, and we've consulted with them as well. It's our duty as a lawyer to consult with our client, and really we can't decide things contrary to the client's wishes.
And what did the governor say?
The governor, as you know, issued a statement today disagreeing with the court's decision, and I also disagree with the court's decision. I think this was a decision that should be made by the voters rather than by the judges, but the judges ruled against us, and her office recognizes that as due.
So the governor agreed with your decision not to go
The
forward?
governor does not disagree.
Does not disagree?
Does not disagree.
Who else? I know, for example, in Nevada, in the Ninth Circuit, there are outsiders who seek to intervene. Does anyone else have standing to defend the Arizona constitutional provision or the statute, or simply, since it is a state statute, you're the only one and you get to control?
I believe the answer to that question is no.
So you've all left us all stunned here. We were sort of thinking you'd fight it.
Well, I did fight it. I was not among those who gave in. I did fight it, and I think that's an important point to make, is that it was my view that this is a decision that should be made by the voters and not by the judges. And I fought it as far as I ethically could. And my decision today is based on a legal conclusion that there's no chance of a reversal, and therefore it would be unethical for me to file an appeal that had no chance of success. It does not diminish my disagreement with the decision.
Have you spoken with the Alliance Defending Freedom? Do you have any sense of where they stand on this, whether they want to continue to fight it?
Well, they don't have the ability to fight it. The decision is mine.
Okay, well, you said you disagree with the decision.
Yeah.
I've read the Ninth Circuit. I've read various other decisions. I read the decision about the couple, the guy who married in California wanted the widower listing. Tell me why you disagreed with the conclusions that under equal protection, that Arizona's law amounts to discrimination based on sexual orientation. Why do you think they got it wrong?
I think they got it wrong because we fought a revolution against England on the understanding that we're smart enough to rule ourselves as a people, and we didn't need a British aristocracy ruling over us. I believe we're still smart enough to rule ourselves as a people, and that this is an important decision, and it's a policy decision that should be made by the people and not by the courts.
Well, but to follow up on that logic, that would be like saying that if the people of Arizona were to say that blacks and whites cannot marry, or Jews and Catholics could not marry, that we would be entitled to that difference?
No, because the 14th Amendment was passed specifically to protect the rights of the freed slaves. And so the Constitution, I believe, has a good basis for saying that you cannot discriminate on the basis of race. There is no provision in the Constitution that applies to questions of gender orientation or sexual orientation. And in my opinion, this is a matter that would be a policy matter for the people to decide. However, the courts disagree with me, and just as I expect people, when the courts rule in my favor, to obey the rulings of the courts, when I disagree with the decision of the court, I still have to respect the fact that they're the courts and they make the decision.
Which raises another question. Now that the courts have determined that sexual orientation is, I won't quite call it a protected class, but you understand the context as an attorney, that would seem to suggest that the government may not discriminate in any fashion on protected class, in terms of hiring, in terms of fringe benefits. Case also pending before Judge Sedwick. That goes away now that gays can marry. So what other laws, I mean, if the state cannot discriminate based on sexual orientation, based on this precedent, what does that mean? I mean, does that mean that there are, that at least for government employees, for governments, sexual orientation is now added to our list of protected classes?
I'm not going to go beyond today's decision. If we're presented with questions, we'll research them and we'll answer them as we've answered today's question.
Tom, you said we're smart enough to rule ourselves,
Yeah.
and there have been comments by people regarding this decision and previous similar decisions that the courts should not be able to overrule the will of the people. Do you believe that's the case, or do you believe there are cases where the will of the people can be unconstitutional?
Well, obviously, if there is a provision in the Constitution which is violated by a statute, then it's the duty of the courts to enforce the Constitution in preference to the statutes. It's my view that the Constitution does not deal with this issue, and that therefore it's an issue for the people to decide. But the courts disagree with me, and I respect the fact that they're the courts and they make the decision.
We're not talking statutes, though. We're talking the will of the people, something the voters approve. Do you think that should be
Well,
overturned?
that is a statute. I mean, it was passed by, I don't remember if it was initiative or referendum, but it was passed by the voters, and it is now in our statutes. I think it's in our Constitution, if I'm not mistaken. But the federal Constitution has supremacy over the state Constitution, and once the courts have decided, then I have to respect that decision by the courts. My view is that this is an important policy decision that the people should be able to decide.
Tom, what do you have to say to the people who are waiting outside right now at the county offices after waiting all this time?
As soon as this press conference is over, my email will go to the clerks of court, and they can be married at lunchtime if they wish.
Will you be attending any of these ceremonies, sir?
I think our family has other plans.
What's next after this, after you issue your letter?
I think it's over. This is it. This is the final decision to be made.
What kind of problems, if any, does this pose to people who are against gay marriage? Business owners or others who might,
Well, this,
they don't believe in homosexuality and
right. Well, this goes only to the issue of the fact that that gays can marry. It does not deal with the issues of discrimination, some of which I think have been difficult issues. So if somebody doesn't want to go to a gay wedding and do the floral arrangement, for example, that remains to be decided, I think, in a final way, one way or another.
So if something like Senate Bill 1062 were to come back again next session, do you think, in light of this decision and your decision, that it would be legally upheld?
I think that's undetermined. I think today's decision is simply that gay people can marry and will be marrying sometime this afternoon. other consequences remain to be determined.
Would you say this was a bad day for Arizona?
I don't want to go that far. I've made my position clear. I fought hard for the will of the people, which I believe is my duty. I've been known for doing that. We've lost. The courts have ruled. We have to respect the court's decision.
Do you know any gay couples who might be married today?
I know lots of gay couples, but I don't know if any will be married today.
Do you feel something for them now that they have the ability to get married if they choose?
Well, obviously I have good personal feelings for gay people that I know. As some people know, I've lived in the world of classical music, and a lot of gay people represented disproportionately in the world of classical music. So I've known lots of gay people, and I certainly have good feelings towards them. I had a legal position which I thought was correct, and I lost it, and I have to respect the court's will.
As a human, as a friend, do you share in their happiness today?
For those individuals, I would say yes. Without detracting from the legal position I've taken, I would say yes.
Just for clarification, for people who have gotten married in other states, their marriage is now recognized in Arizona as well?
Yeah, the answer to that is yes.
Does anything else need to be done? They're good to go like any other couple who got married anywhere else?
Yeah, the answer to that is also yes.
Michael James just tweeted that marriage licenses await you. Come on down.
Okay, well, I guess he's not waiting for my email. I thought that the fact that, oh, we sent the emails. Oh, okay, we already sent the emails, okay. The emails have gone out. Any other questions? Okay, well, thank you all for coming.